Hey, everybody, welcome to this week's Fateless podcast episode. Joining me from the Fateless team, we've got Dirk, and then first time appearing here on the channel, we've got Todd and Tom. How we doing today, fellas? I'll let you kind of introduce yourself and talk a little bit about what you do and your gaming history and all that type of stuff. So if you want to start, Todd, go ahead.
Hey, my name is Todd. I'm the animation director here at Fateless. Hey, so a little bit about me is I grew up in Kansas. That's where I currently live, working remotely. But I was basically just a bored kid that played too many video games and loved doing art, and that turned into a career for me. Actually, I skipped over the 2D animation part and just went to school immediately for 3D, and then started in like 2005, about 20 years ago, and just worked my way up. Yeah, currently at Fateless, my responsibilities are basically just part management, part animation. I do a lot of task management, planning, fixing small things, bugs, getting in the game, doing all this other stuff, plus trying to pull a little bit of weight on the animation side and do more of what Tom does full time. Yeah, gaming wise, I don't really have a favorite game. I have a lot of favorite games, but like recently just finished Oblivion Remastered, put like 300 hours into that. And then I have a 8-month-old son, so in between Oblivion Remastered, or in between taking care of him, I basically like 5 in the morning can play Oblivion Remastered. But yeah, that 300 hours of that took forever with him. And then I recently restarted Valheim because I haven't played that in like 5 years or so.
Oh, dude, I've beaten Valheim so many times. Love
No
that game.
spoilers. No,
Yeah.
first playthrough, I had some power gamer friend who was trying to like run me through everything.
Yep.
And it was fun. It's just like I have those old characters saved, and it was so tempting to start a new one with like my fully decked out character. But I'm trying to go in fresh. I don't remember anything about it, but it's been a blast so far.
Well,
Just
yeah, good. I won't spoil anything for you, but they have added a lot since then.
yeah, I saw
So,
it was like it was
yeah.
now called like the Bog Witch or something. But yeah, very excited with that. But yeah, that's me.
Awesome. Yeah, very cool. And then Tom, go ahead.
Hey everybody, I'm Tom Hyman. I'm a senior animator here at Fateless. Um, I started professionally animating back in 1994, and I started off in film and television. Uh, uh, did a little Canadian television, a show called Sticking Around. My first job out of school was Space Jam. Um, Then around 2000, a friend of mine who worked in games said we need some animators because there weren't a lot of traditionally trained animators in the gaming industry at that time. So that's how I got into gaming, just through the art department. So, and that's what brought me to Texas, which is where I live now. Um, Basically at Fateless, I do whatever Todd tells me to do, but I'm responsible for blocking out and animating all the character abilities, all the basic stuff, the whole menu of things that the characters can do, and setting a quality control for that, which can be challenging at times because there's another part-time animator here who uses a motion capture rig, so everything is kind of held to that standard. So that is fun and challenging. As far as gaming goes, I'm more of a tabletop paper and pencil guy. So that doesn't mean I don't play video games at all. I play Brawl Stars like every day and Scrabble with my wife, but mostly I play like tabletop board games and board war games. Just last night I played Commands and Colors Medieval for about 4 hours with a friend of mine at favorite local game store.
Oh,
So
nice. So
that's
like Risk or
no, well, Commands and Colors is the one that I play mostly. There's a company called GMT which makes a lot of games that I play. Um, Most of them are like historical war games. Yeah, and I play Commands and Colors mostly now just because I'm old and I want to finish a battle in a couple hours and be able to go home and go to bed. So that's that's kind of where I'm at. I'm old school.
yeah, very cool. Well, if you ever do look for like a PC game to play, you might like some of the Total War games. Like
I have played
oh,
some of
okay.
those before. Yeah, yeah, for sure. Um, Yeah, I like those real-time strategy games when I do, but I just don't have the time to do that stuff, man. You just get older, you have a life, so you gotta, like I said, I want to finish a battle in 2 hours and go home. So,
Yeah, I hear you.
and I enjoy seeing people face to face, especially, after the pandemic and lockdown and stuff. Like, I like to, get out and sit across a table from an actual human.
Yeah, very sure. Or very cool. And then Dirk, what's up, man? So you probably kind of work on some of this stuff as well currently,
Working
like
on
timelines and kind of syncing up with the animations and all that type of stuff, right?
well, animation, you guys have been crushing it. So no, I haven't really had any like back and forth with them really much at all. There's just been a few things that they've gotten cleaned up. It's all of a sudden the assets there is good, problem's gone. But yeah, no, it's good because I know the animation started off as kind of a mess. It was like something that I think initially I was like putting together, and then Paul took over that, and then we actually got some guys to do it here, and then I do think you guys have kind of come full circle back to the way I was setting it up originally. So I feel like I think the initial groundwork I laid wasn't a waste.
Yeah.
But no, it's looking good. I enjoy first thing I do is just see what the guys look like when they're doing the animation when I'm throwing the timeline, and it always looks great. So I'm glad that we have that high standard set by the motion cap that you guys are forced to adhere to. Is that what is that like? That is everything
Well-
you do now. You just have to like, well, this is almost perfect, but it has to be perfect. Like, what?
No, well,
yeah.
not really. I mean, I'm a keyframe guy all the way, like, just because I'm old school. But like, if you have a motion capture rig, then your characters can only do what you can do. You know what I mean? So, and these were doing heroic attacks and godlike animations. So it may be a good place to start, but you got to like heighten the stuff, and that's kind of what I'm doing. But keeping it like, heightened reality. You know what I mean?
Right? Yeah, yeah, it makes sense because you're probably not swinging around like a 30-pound weapon when you're putting
No.
together.
I mean,
Yeah,
he can carry it. I would prefer he did though when he did the capture. If he can hold it up, we're doing like
Yeah.
a cloud strife sword,
We should
Like-
duct tape some phone
yeah.
books to his hands or something.
something. Yeah, start lifting weights. But I
I get
do
that-
think
that Conan the
one thing we do
Barbarian.
have going for us with the mocap versus hand key is that at least for right now, all the motion capture is kept to the most visible animations in that character select screen. So the mocap is all there for the. It's a super high quality, or should be at the end when we ship. All nice mocaps, like unique animations. And then once we go in game, the camera's totally different. It's all pulled back from the back and it's more gameplay. So I think that really helps us in that separation versus like what we may encounter later if we try and mix it. It's like we have a nice mocapped attack that looks perfect and 1,000% polished, and then maybe a 90% polished animation that ships and they don't quite match up. But as long as we keep them separate, I think we're okay, or at least make sure we apply a pretty hefty layer of like stylization to the mocap that goes in.
I do.
Oh, go
know,
ahead,
like,
Dirk.
the lock screen looks great as far as like getting the higher res models. Yeah, the cleaner animations there. In game though, still we're getting it nice and close on the characters. I know it was Dan that added faces in originally. But,
Yeah, and that's become a problem. We're trying to go in and polish that stuff. I think by
really?
the time we ship, we should have everything looking nice. But there are some cases where like mouths will open on characters that didn't have their mouths fully skinned open, so it'll be like a weird skin mouth thing. So things like that.
Okay.
No, I think it's all good. They did a really good job. Shout out Daniel Belly and like for setting up all the pipeline stuff to be shared, so we can
Yeah, for
do
sure.
a lot. We just have to go in there and clean it all up. But we should be
Yeah,
able to share all kinds of screaming and yelling and expressions. At least basic.
Yeah, it's been fun doing the camera work on that because all of a sudden, I'll loop it around and get up on close on the character for like an ult or something, and all of a sudden I see him like, what? They're doing this? What?
Yeah.
I'm just expecting like a dead face here, and all of a sudden like they're
Which that
screaming.
stuff
I
we
haven't
should
seen-
start probably hooking up soon about, because if you're getting close on some animations, we could do some targeted polish to make sure they really look nice. If you're like zooming in and doing like a power shot of close up or something.
It's usually just ultimates are the main one to worry about there.
Yeah,
Like,
if you're doing,
I think
if-
Hercules, and actually
if
it's not
you-
even his ultimate, but his core ability turned out so good looking with his shout as he's throwing the hammer up. But yeah, I mean, just in general, I think very strong in the animations now. So thanks.
yeah, if you're doing specific stuff with the camera, just let us know, because that we can add that stuff in. Have you done Loki's attack, the ultimate, at all yet?
Yeah, I started setting it up last night.
Where he teleports?
Yeah, and
Okay.
that's all looking pretty good. I was missing some VFX ports. I actually couldn't finish it. I also would have had it up done for today, but so the rest of the effects, yeah, I've got the camera set up for it. Like it'll poof behind them. I'm interested to see how that's going to work out some of the big bosses. Like I suspect you're just going to kind of poof into them. You'll still see the VFX go off and whatnot, so it should still look like he's there hitting stuff. But there definitely will be some clipping issues on.
Yeah,
large.
I'm excited to see how that one works. The reason I asked is because he's got he like winks at the camera before he does his thing. So I don't know if you realize that. So
I have to check. I definitely get a nice closer when he's coming down like this and doing all that. It's right in there. So I'll have to look. I don't think I just didn't pay attention to the wink.
And
okay.
I'm trying to think of like from a player's perspective of Godforge, some things they might be interested in kind of getting your guys' perspective on. Maybe for like the alpha that's coming up soon. From like an animation level and the type of stuff you guys do, how close is it to like the live polish that people could expect to see? Like, is it like a 6 out of 10, or do you guys feel pretty good about the alpha? It's like a 9 out of 10. Where would you kind of put the current workflow and kind of stuff that you guys are doing preparing for alpha?
I wouldn't personally consider anything in the alpha polished. That's all stuff we just made sure. Honestly, we were making sure it looks presentable and functional. The main thing was making sure design team was satisfied with everything to make sure it plays well. And then, I mean, luckily Tom is just cranking on animations, ability stuff nonstop. So it's like we're getting good stuff in. But there is some stuff that just was reused from the old stack from a year ago that. It's like we were talking earlier about there's a quality difference between some of the stuff Tom's putting in for the abilities or some of the idle breakers Brandon's doing, and like some of the stuff I'm working on, trying to just get stuff cut up and retargeted so that we have something for design and VFX to move forward on. So that's kind of where the alpha is. It's a mix of quality. Hoping by the end we just finished planning it out, so we should be okay. But by the end we should have a polish level that's much higher than the alpha, or at least meets the most polished animations that are already in, like some of the nicer idle breakers, some of the nice ability animations. All of those are kind of where we'd like to be at by ship, but by no means is the alpha representative of the final product animation wise. We're all planned out to hit everything a second time that kind of looks gnarly still in the game.
Yeah, no,
Polish.
Yeah, we're still in kind of like the block out rough in phase, I would say, but there are some polished animations that are going in to kind of set the bar, like what Tom was saying earlier. And we do have a nice bar set, and then we have to hit it, unfortunately. Fortunately.
The good thing is everyone's
ahead,
playing it at 2x. So the little weird things like wrists flipping around as you're stabbing, stuff like that, you wouldn't even catch.
Yeah.
That looks like a little important slow motion.
It's always important to talk about that because here at Fateless, we're so transparent and we're constantly updating people on everything that's going on. So I just want to make sure that we're clear about like hey, the alpha's not the final game, and it sounds like things will take even a more significant step up by the time we have more time leading into launch.
For sure, yeah. I mean, this specifically, like I'm trying to think of characters, Tom or Dirk. If like I think like Mordred, I was just looking at. There's some that we like Heimdall. There's some very polished looking characters in the game.
I think Heimdall is, because I spend a lot of time on those abilities. I think that's a good bar if you're looking for what maybe the final should be looking like. So pay attention to him.
Yeah, and then, I mean, you'll be able to tell when you play the alpha. Some of the nicer looking stuff is basically where we want to be by ship, and then some of the worst looking stuff is just stuff we need to get in so that design and VFX could do the thing. We actually have the gameplay and like the game loop and everything be complete, complete experience for alpha. Unfortunately, we don't have infinite time, so it's like we had to make some hard decisions towards the end of just what to get in so that we could complete the alpha roster of characters. And just move anything that we didn't get done to the next phase of shipping the game.
Yeah, for sure. And is the Godforge project, how does it relate compared to some of the other projects that you've done? Is it pretty challenging, or or you're like, oh, I got this, I've done this before? What do you think about the scope of Godforge in terms of what we're trying to get done, like before the alpha and before ship and all that?
Tom, you want? I thought being well.
Well, I've worked on a hero collector before, so I've kind of seen how they work. And I got to say that Fateless is probably like one of the most organized studios that I've worked at, as far as like being transparent and knowing what to expect, seeing the goals ahead of you. And we're all completely remote, which is amazing to me. So yeah, I would say this is probably one of the most organized studios that I've worked at. And everyone's super talented, so that makes it a lot easier. I don't know if that was the question that you asked,
Oh,
but
it's yeah. No, you're
that's the one I
fine.
answered.
Like, and you don't have to say which one or whatever, but what do you think about the scope? Like, are we here at Godforge? Are we like aiming for the stars? And you're like, wow, this is gonna be crazy if we can pull this off, or is it kind of like more or less than what you kind of expected coming in, or?
Well, I keep my head down, so I don't really see like the far goals that they're looking at. So maybe Todd could talk to that a little more.
Sure. The amount of characters we're trying to get in and the amount of individual unique abilities and all that, it's extremely ambitious, but it's totally doable. I was just looking at the roadmap and stuff yesterday. I mean, we might need to shift some resources, but I mean, we definitely can do it with all the systems were put in place well before me, all the sharing that's being done. But I mean, it's compared to project I've worked on, like it's the polish level that we're trying to get to is a lot higher. Like Tom was saying, it's very organized. I know maybe sometimes to some other departments it might not feel like it. I came in after I feel like you guys got a lot of stuff figured out, but it definitely feels like we have. I mean, we have all of our tasks laid out in front of us. Everything's scoped. Everything's very clearly described in the design specifications and all that. It's a very organized studio, and the project itself. I think Tom and I have talked about this, and I talked to Dan Borth and I talked about this when I first started. But like the work itself for an animator is awesome. It's very fun. It's like
Super
some of
fun.
the most fun stuff to work on for just as an animator, as an artist.
Yeah, just like looking at reference, you just get to find like great martial arts clips and stuff like that, and just dissect them and then put your own spin on it too. So yeah, it's really fun.
Yeah, it's
Which
so character focused. I feel like we get to put it all on a stage and we just get to do like the meat of the animation sets. And normally I feel like we'd be scattered everywhere on a project. We'd be doing cinematics and all this other stuff, which eventually we might do. But right now we're just so focused on, cool abilities, making the characters feel really unique and good. The idol breakers, making those feel really good. It's like the workload itself is very fun to actually do, like the characters we get to work on.
Nice.
Yeah, nice. I was gonna ask about that because I know it's like a gotcha game or at least a mobile game, and I think the bar is not usually set very high on these. Like I know previously I always look at like a mobile game as not being a real game or anything like that. But yeah, because we do have that pretty high bar set, like you guys are saying, and then so many characters. And I noticed like it seemed normal in the past for gotcha games to launch with hundreds of characters or at least try to be around 100 characters. And now it seems like 40, 50 is about what games launch with. And we're still trying to go for well over 200. And I mean, I think just streamlining so we're getting the most mileage out of what work we are putting into it is obviously very important, which I think is doing very well. I feel like we can do every character now. Like we already have the assets to do everything. Obviously, it's way better to have more. But yeah, I was going to ask, like you kind of said, it's just a lot of fun. But just having so many characters and really just being able to focus in on like, all right, what is this ability going to look like? Especially for the ultimates, we want them to be a little bit unique for some of the characters and like the higher rarity ones. Like, is that? I don't know. Just how does that compare to a game like if you've worked on any like an action game or anything like that, where it's like you're just putting in NPCs like walking around, just generic stuff like that.
Like the attacks themselves, they can be like little cinemas, whereas a lot of other video games that you're working on, it basically boils down to run, jump, and shoot. So like you're moving around an environment with a kind of turn-based thing like this. You got a stage and you can showcase stuff, and it's just a lot more fun. And it being fun leads into quality too, I think.
Yeah, I think because it's not like normally with like an action game like you're talking about, and we would have to really cater to how responsive is the button press. That was always the thing. Like how quickly does the attack pop off? We need to make sure the damage window exists at the certain time, all this stuff. now, like Tom was saying, it's a stage. We can just do our animations, and they can just look good, and it can you're turn-based, so everything can just be as it is. We don't have to cut things short to blend into this or that, or we don't have to start an animation halfway through to make sure it feels snappy. We can put all that in the performance. So
Yeah, that's one of the biggest things that I noticed coming from like film and television into games is that you have, as an animator, you have to throw out like half the things that you're supposed to do, like anticipation, because it has to be like immediately interactive with an action game like that. So now we can put all that nice stuff back in and, do everything that animators are supposed to do in, instead of being in service to instant player interactivity. As far as like, I press this button, he does something, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So now we can
Gamers.
put like anticipations in there and stuff, like little acting flourishes. Like, yeah, it's a lot of fun.
All right, that's cool. Yeah, I guess I didn't expect that to be the case, but yeah, look at that. See, gotcha games are more fun to work on than than action games, even if they're not always more fun to play. But I think as it's coming along, it's definitely when you say responsiveness, there still is like a feeling of that in this. When you press the button, you want it to feel like satisfying. And even though
sure,
some of our
yeah.
stuff is pretty long, everything feels so satisfying right now too. So you guys are kind of, besides everything being like a visual spectacle, it just, I don't know, it feels good to press a button and then watch them just jump in there and stab with the spear or whatever they're doing. So
Yeah, I think a lot of that too is credit to whoever is working on designing like the UI, UX, and all that stuff, and like how the menus flow. Because really, that's just making sure there's no delay in pressing the button and seeing it play,
mm,
no lagginess or whatever. But
yeah, I'm definitely finally getting a chance to get in there and actually, besides just testing the characters that go in. But let's say going back to what you're saying about having you have more fun, you want to put in like that little extra effort. I'm definitely noticing that just like you said, the first thing I'm doing is popping in the animations, when I put the timeline together. And some of these look so good that it's like I'm making sure like the blend, if it's going from like a jump back into an idle, like I want to make sure the weapon isn't floating in the air even for like a frame, like trying to catch it right. Because I'm like, everything looks so good. I don't want to like just jack it up any little bit. Some of it is so quick you wouldn't notice. But I'll tell you, Sham's got a pretty critical eye on that. If you try to sneak anything past like that, like a wrist turning or anything, he'll somehow catch it. I don't think he would, but yeah, it definitely makes me feel like I have to be on my A game there. Like everything has to be perfect. If you're jumping back, you're not beginning that movement until you just left the ground. And you guys have the animations to like support that level of like I don't know, like perfections. Been nice.
Awesome. Well, maybe you would, one of you, whoever would like, maybe walk the, like just kind of a player of Godforge. What is that flow like in terms of bringing it to life? Like you get a hero from the design side, and now you need to work on kind of like what animations would make sense. Are you kind of like reading into their lore or looking at, what things make sense in terms of move set or elements? Do you start with the ultimate because that's like the most iconic thing and then work from there? Is there a certain workflow from your end from like kind of start to finish on bringing those things to life?
Well, I think the ultimate is the only one that's really custom to a lot of characters. So yeah, I will read the lore and I'll look up. Like the first character I worked on was Guan Yu. I think he's one of the starting characters. So, and I didn't realize how much sharing we were going to do. It was literally the first character that I worked on. So like he had his own custom idol and all this kind of stuff. So, um, yeah, like I read through his lore and watched a lot of martial arts videos, and now with the way things are, like knowing that the ultimate is pretty much the one that displays their character, that's the one that you should probably focus on if you're going to do lore, because a lot of the other ones are going to be shared across the more common characters. I don't know, Todd, what do you think?
I mean, I don't do a lot of the ability stuff that Tom does. I've been doing a lot of the more generic sets, but I think design does a really good job of setting us up with descriptions and stuff. There's a lot of gods that I never heard of. Like I'm somewhat into history, mythology, and there's so many gods that I didn't know about. So definitely a lot of Googling and just watching videos. And the martial arts side, I feel like that's one of the things that's why I love this job, because I've already watched so many martial arts videos that for me that's like not I can find reference if I have to, but just finding like some of these are very obscure. Like we can't even pronounce, half the team can't pronounce the name of them. It's just like looking at stuff up is super fun. But I think, to be honest, like Tom does most of the heavy lifting when it comes to the character driven animations and all the ultimates and stuff like that. I don't think I've actually done an ultimate yet.
Well, Tom, do you have a like an ultimate that is going to be in the alpha that you think is one that you feel most proud of that players should watch out for when they're casting it? Do you have like a favorite one you've worked on?
Is it Pangu? Who's the guy with the big, like, giant universe axe? Is that
Yeah,
is that
yeah,
is that
Pangu.
Pangu?
Yeah.
I remember doing that animation, and I don't play the game enough because I'm too busy animating. But I think his VFX are done, and I'm kind of
Yes.
excited to see how that one works out. So yeah, Pangu would be the one.
Okay, great.
I would say anything, pretty much anything Tom's touched in the last, like, since I've been here for going on 3 months now, 2 months. I can't even remember, but everything I've seen him do, like I think it's Heimdall, Mordred, Pangu. Help me out here. What are the others?
Well, Guan Yu was the first one that
Guan
I
Yu.
did. I think that might be it for like full ability
Yeah.
sets that are like polished.
Well, all of those that I just said, those all definitely have like complete VFX, and they look pretty epic when they're moving around in game.
Tom, did you get the beard stroke on Guan Yu? Who got that little?
Yes, that's
Yeah,
that's
that was
what I
so
mean.
good.
That's what I mean by oh, that's his idol breaker, right? But yeah, like when I first started, I didn't realize that. Well, we actually didn't even have like the different rig sizes and the sharing all into place. So like he has his own custom everythings, which is, obviously we can't do that for every character, but I think he's
do
a
think
starting.
we should do as much of that as possible. Once we get past like all the stuff that doesn't exist and get the new animations, like go back and some of these characters have some unique idols, because some of them really deserve it, like characters like Odin or
And that's the nice thing about a game like this, is that once everything is functioning in design, you can go back and polish it forever.
Yeah, that was kind of when I was initially, especially with a lot of the camera work. I wanted to get a lot fancier from the first go, and now it's just kind of like, well, we'll get back to it. We can get back to it, and the alpha sort of had us racing to get so many characters in. But I mean, the alpha's going out with more characters than a lot of games even launch with now. But it's been like really good for just getting that like pipeline set up, because I think our velocity has increased so much now. Like you're saying that obviously it's a lofty goal to get in over 200 characters, but you said you're feeling pretty confident in that, Todd. And
yeah, I mean, it's going to be a lot of work. Obviously, it's going to be a lot of work. But I mean, when I first started, I remember everything was set up. The pipeline was basically ready, and then we just pulled the trigger on it and we started. And I do think that it's definitely increased our velocity, and I think the quality is going to go up because we now just have to polish one core set of animations that every character kind of has a foundation. Almost every character. There's some uniques. And then on top of that foundation of generic animations, we can build like the unique ultimates, stuff like that. But the velocity,
the bosses too, actually, yeah, because I guess the bosses are a little bit different.
the bosses will be unique. There's going to be some stuff you just can't share because you only have one of them. It's just like, if, for instance, if we get Baba Yaga in the game, Baba Yaga sits in a pot with chicken legs. Like it's just going to be unique. It's some are just going to have to, which is good. I mean, we want stuff like that.
But that's not saying it's gonna be like the ATST walker almost. So.
Yeah. I'm not sure if Baba Yaga's feet are supposed to touch the ground. I think that's still TBD.
I'm looking forward to that character.
Yeah.
I was bummed that it got pulled at the last second.
Well, it didn't get pulled. I just in case. I was worried after talking to Joel, so I just put it on TBD on priority. It's not.
I'm not sure
still
that
in the
we
bucket.
leaked what like the Baba Yaga character model, but I know we've leaked the names. I can't wait till people see that model. I'm not. Dirk, do you know if
I think
shown it?
Simon
Oh, okay.
showed it like yesterday. or
Oh, okay,
something.
cool.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, when you have hundreds of heroes, it's hard because you try to keep it straight. And it's like, okay, have we
I've
leaked
kind
this
of-
one? Have we?
I've kind of given up on like, I guess, trying to hide like which characters they are, because at this point it's like, oh,
You can
wow,
always
they have,
bleep it.
they got Athena in the Greek faction. Like, oh, they have Gilgamesh in the Gilgamesh faction. Like, I think people are gonna figure that out pretty quick. Like,
That's actually the factions are one of the hardest parts to get used to because I don't know all the different factions. So like having to like know which characters and what because in the editor it's actually under each faction. That's been
Yeah, because we did pick like I don't know, obviously clever names, but like names that aren't so obvious. It's not just like Mesopotamia or anything like that. It's like something that relates to their actual mythology.
I tried to create a faction name kind of
Yeah,
Olympus. Olympus kind of, makes
it makes sense.
sense.
Yeah, and that's the other one
Yeah.
too. Yeah, everyone knows.
yeah.
Like,
There's obvious ones that I just because I have like a basic understanding of stuff. It's like the Asgard or Olympus or like ones that I know, but there's some obvious. There's most of them I've never heard of, but that's also what I like so much about working on this project is there's so many different things that like so many different characters, so many different uh gods from like the different, especially like Middle East or Eastern cultures that I'd never, even some of the South American ones I've never heard.
You weren't familiar with Zabalba?
Zabalba.
Just the Mesoamerican hell or something.
Even some of the Western ones, like there was the I'm not gonna try and pronounce it. It's like the red dragon in Gaelic, I think.
Only
Paul,
Paul
tell
could
me you
say,
can
yeah.
pronounce it. And it's
It's-
like
Only Paul. I'm not gonna try and sound like an idiot.
I
the
love
one
that. I mean,
that- yeah, no, Red Dragon.
I'm not gonna try to pronounce it either, but I think that's awesome that there's some Gaelic stuff and it's just some very obscure characters.
It's meant to be like the red dragon that's on their flag, the Welsh flag. But yeah, I mean, there's like mythology to that, and especially a lot of those ones, because we are, I guess, a UK based company technically, even though we are just remote and everywhere. We did try to hit that mythology extra hard, and at least like dig into it deeper because
Do we get like British content, like Canadian content gets like little kickbacks if we put enough British content in
yeah,
there?
no, there was
Like a
yeah.
tax kickback.
Oh,
We
awesome.
got that. Yeah, there was like a grant for I guess the British government would give you pretty decent chunk of money if you have I don't know enough historical things in there. So that's why in our main screen there's like a Stonehenge, even though it's not really Stonehenge, but
It's the
that's all
same.
part of it.
It's the same way in Canada. There's like if they require a certain amount of Canadian content on television and all that kind of stuff, and you get all kinds of government benefits to make that stuff. So
I'm a little ignorant. I mean, I can guess English content or just UK content, but Canadian, like what is like the go-to to sneak in there in order to qualify? Like just poutines or what?
Oh, geez,
Yeah,
you're gonna
I
start a
guess,
war.
Hockey.
yeah,
Like, oh that crap,
That's-
we gotta get that government money quick. Yeah,
that's
throw it
that's
a
how
hot-
Bob and Doug McKenzie got started. It was Rick Moranis and Dave Thomas were doing SCTV, and they were like, "You need to put more Canadian content in SCTV." And they're like, "We're Canadian and we're making this comedy show. What do you need more Canadian content?" And they started doing those characters, and they became the most popular characters. They're
Like
like,
a
"You want us to put on parkas and drink beer in front of a big map of Canada?"
Well, we
That's
got.
what I'm gonna say. Yeah, there's like the obvious stereotypes. Is that just what everyone throws in there? Like, oh, there's some maple syrup.
Sure.
We got our government money.
Well, we let Tom talk about something that's stood out to him so far. So, Todd, do you have anything that stood out to you so far for the alpha that you think has been really cool and players will be excited about? Is there anything top of mind?
The Sphinx, that's an alpha, right?
Yeah,
That character over all the others, there's some wild ones in there, but the Sphinx, I think, character-wise, is probably the most surprising when I first started looking through the roster. I don't know if people have seen it yet, so I don't know if I should say anything, but it's very weird and awesome. It's just a really cool character.
yeah, it was a
I-
fun one.
I mean, I'm basically just to name characters that I think are some of my favorites that stand out. Like, I'm pretty sure it's not Cupid. I'm sorry, I keep on getting his name wrong. The
Icarus.
Icarus, yes. I was just working on fixing a thing on Icarus, and I think just having him is awesome. And it's mainly just like the unique characters, I guess, that were done well before I was here that stick out the most. Some of the stuff like the beard stroke, Guan Yu, that when I first started, that was pretty great. Yeah, I mean, mainly I think just having people, I guess Fafnir made it in the alpha, right?
Yeah, yeah, it's one of the bosses. It's a big dragon. Yeah,
Yeah.
which that came out of. That was just like a legend. Like it was just in the works forever, and then all of a sudden, like seeing it was like, oh man, we got a friggin' dragon. It was like Game of Thrones. Like they hype it up for so long.
Yeah.
And then you finally get the dragons, you're like, yeah, these are pretty good. So that's how I feel like ours came out. It's like things hyped
Yeah,
up.
Fafnir's he's okay. Like I don't know if I should mention Fafnir, but like he's definitely a big work in progress. But it's cool to even see like the scale of the characters, not to have like I feel like a lot of games just have to stick to a similar size scale for all the characters.
Mm.
But it's nice to see that like it's the time has been taken to create a system that allows for large scale characters or semi-large where the character you actually can adjust the camera and it all fits nicely or will fit nicely. That was really cool. Some of the stuff that the VFX guys worked on for Fafnir I thought was amazing. Like I forget the name of the attack, but the one where he hovers and like just bathes the entire group in flame.
Oh yeah.
Like
Yeah,
stuff
come
like
on.
that. It looks epic. Things like there's the intro and stuff like that. We probably need more time on, but stuff like that looks definitely final and polished.
Yeah, if I can talk about the scale, I think originally they wanted to have Fafnir at like 1.7.
Oh
size
yeah, if
scale.
you were talking to different artists, I'm sure there would be some like trauma brought up about the scale issue.
Yeah, because all
like
Sham like
and to us after it became Tom
like,
probably
almost-
dealt with it way more than I did, but
yeah. Also they're like, yeah, it's like at 1.7 times. Like it's like a little bit bigger than everyone else. All of a sudden, Shim's is like, no, 3x. Like
yeah, I
almost
think he's 3.
and they're trying to figure out how to fit that in frame. Like they've basically had to make a new game to get the boss working, but it set us up for all the boss fights in the future. And
Yeah, that allows us now to have giant characters, which is very cool. Especially if the player can ever control them. That'd be even cooler. But
oh yeah, which and all of that like a month before we're even getting the alpha buildup. So it was all this all came like down to the wire. But I
Yeah,
love it. We have two
I
bosses.
had a hard time fitting him in the environment after that last minute.
yeah, you went through some
Decision.
trial and tribulations with that character, just trying to squeeze him through a tiny little cave.
I think
Yeah, you're like, yeah, this is a massive dragon. He's gonna be in this cave. It's a little claustrophobic in there. Oh, and he flies.
and he flies.
Oh, and then I think halfway through, Tom, didn't the cave like it's supposed to be 180 degrees rotated, and then we figured
that's the little technical behind
the
baseball.
little whoopsie there,
inside
yeah.
baseball stuff. But yeah, it was like animating to the complete 180 to the way I should have. So it was animating in this tiny corner. But I think it looks pretty good now.
Yeah, we got to figure out. I think the general vibe of Fafnir feels pretty good. But
Yeah.
some of the stuff really shows well, I think.
Yeah, I'm excited for the alpha. Well, we're kind of approaching the wrap up time, but is there anything, Dirk, you wanted to chat about, or anything you guys wanted to kind of mention before we get out of here and wrap it up?
Well, I was wondering what happened to the Golden Guardian's middle fingers, the other boss. Because originally he had some anime. I don't know what this is even for, but you kind of spin around.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. And we fixed that. That was not my decision. I won't tell you whose decision it was, but it was not an animation thing. I can tell you that. It was a skinning issue. Bizarre. But yeah, that got fixed a bit ago.
Yeah, it was just a funny. Yeah, I guess not intended, but a very funny. It looked very much intended, and with the way I have the intro set up now, it actually, I don't know, it would have worked, but probably not.
Yeah, I mean, if you guys feel strongly about it, I'm sure you could ask, some of the founders and like just get some approval. We can get some middle fingers back, but until then, I don't know if we should be adding double birds.
I think it breaks the flavor. Yeah, I don't think you need the Golden Guardian.
It was hilarious. It's a very bizarre. It is almost like they did that on purpose when they skin the characters, leaving the middle finger out. Because it was literally, if you know skinning, like I'm not gonna do it, but it's like you're just skinning the middle finger to the wrist. So it's like,
oh, that's what's going.
He was really doing this.
Yeah,
his middle fingers were up, and yeah.
But the way I've got the intro set up now, he's kind of deactivated, and then like you're approaching, you also pop up, spin, and then flip you off. It's like the intro.
Yeah. Sorry about that. It wasn't my decision. I'll say that.
All right.
Oh, that's funny. Well, hey, this has been great, guys. Thanks for taking the time to pop in and join us. And we'll link down below. You can pop into the Discord and let us know your thoughts on everything you've seen so far with Godforge as we head into the beta and super exciting times. So, Todd, Tom, Dirk, it's been a blast. Thanks for joining, and we will see you soon in the next Fateless podcast episode. Cheers.